Our next outstanding alum from the class of 1996 is Matthew Jones.
Matt Jones, Adrian High School class of 1996, is an accomplished and award-winning musician. Even in high school, he was making an impression. Miss Eddie, his high school teacher, says, "I remember how music transformed Matt right before our eyes, from a shy student who rarely spoke into a young man who played a guitar in a powerful way that commanded our full attention." Matt plays the guitar and sings as the songwriter of Matt Jones and the Reconstruction. He has released 5 albums since 2005. The Deep Enders, an album rooted in the Civil War lore, was named Album of the Year by several Michigan music media outlets. Jones has shared stages with the likes of Pete Seeger, Emmylou Harris, Chris Christopherson, and Ralph Stanley, and has toured the U.S. extensively. This stream of work led to sporadic college attendance. However, this past April, Matt graduated cum laude with a BA in History and Historic Preservation minor from Eastern Michigan University. He is continuing his studies for a master's degree in Library Science and Archival Administration at Wayne State. Matt has always had an interest in history. In these days, he is making history by documenting it with his project, the River Street Anthology. He says, "Doing historic preservation stuff in my college classes just really lit a fire under me. This was a perfect way to combine the two things that I love most, which is history and archiving, with music." The River Street Anthology, named for the street on which he lives in Ypsilanti, is an epic archival expedition tallying an enormous amount of time, miles, and musicians. He has set out to document the Michigan music scene by recording as many Michigan artists as possible, each playing a single song of their choice. Matt is determined to keep reaching out, seeking artists in different genres and from new communities around the state to ensure the project provides an accurate cross-section of the Michigan music scene. Matt said, "I wouldn't feel good unless everybody was equally represented." For this project, over 300 Michigan musicians have been recorded via digital tape, film, and photographs from southern Michigan to the tip of the Upper Peninsula. Matt says, "The result is a multimedia package that goes beyond songs and seeks to capture the stories of Michigan's music scene, an important aspect of history and historic preservation where context is everything." Matt is now partnering with the Michigan Historical Center for the acquisition of these recordings that cover the sounds of Michigan. With this partnership, the recordings will preserve in perpetuity the traditions of Michigan music and will be available for all to enjoy and study now and far into the future. The River Street Anthology has had some unanticipated outcomes. Matt says, "It has changed me as a person. I'm not the same as I was when I started, not even close." Others believe Matt and his project has become an incredible force in supporting and growing the local and state music arts scene with this project. He has also worked to build a community of love and mutual support among Michigan musicians around the state. It's not surprising that he gets such good results. One of Matt's EMU professors says, "Matt doesn't do anything. He attacks his work with passion and intelligence." Another professor stated, "I have taught a research and writing class many times, but I have never had a more dedicated and resourceful researcher than Matt." Interviewer Jeff Milo from Trace Magazine asked Matt about an income from this project. He replied, "I'm making history. I've been making music in a small town for more than 20 years. Things change. I want a legacy, not a big bank account." Obviously, Matt has the passion and expertise to create his legacy. Former teacher Janet Crawford said, "Matt is a sincere person and musician. I believe it is necessary to reward those who make life a bit lighter, a lot more fun, and prove to us that more than academics needs to be rewarded for outstanding talent and effort. We are proud to be recognizing Matt for his efforts in the fine arts."
Congratulations, Matt. Can you hear me here? It's kind of, let me adjust. There we go. I'm used to it. Well, I admit, I didn't prepare much, because really, I never prepared much when I was here as a student, and now I'm winning an award. But I do have to say how excited and honored I am to be here, and frankly, intimidated by all the other recipients of this award tonight. And I'm also a little curious as well. Being nominated for this got me thinking about teenage Matt and high school Matt. A lot of these pictures, I look at those pictures and I don't know who that guy is. I'm happy to say that by sort of reflecting on what I did when I was here, I can say I'm happy that I don't live so much in the middle of a Bruce Springsteen song now as I did then. But I can look back at the lessons that I learned here. But I don't so much look back at the lessons as so much as I live some of them. The excitement and the honor is easy to explain because everybody's honored to be honored. But the curiosity part comes in with the fact that I tell a lot of people that over the years that I'm not even really sure I graduated from high school. Sometimes I think that my mother, who's here tonight, 35-year teacher here at AHS, maybe she pulled some strings. Maybe she called in some favors from Principal Berg. In fact, at my graduation party in 1996, my dad, who can be pretty sarcastic, hung a huge banner on our shed in my yard at the party that said "Never a doubt," and it was a doubt. But so no, I wasn't a model student, but I think I was a decent storyteller when I was here, in middle school too. I don't think I really understood the value of a good story like I do now. The use for stories in high school was usually to get out of something, maybe to avoid PE. I didn't really have migraines. Maybe it was to avoid detention. I didn't really have community service after school. But my life since high school has been pretty much totally immersed in stories. And I think that's and I know that's part of the reason I'm here tonight. I wrote songs about people I knew. I wrote songs about people I didn't know. I toured all over this country. I played everywhere from Hill Auditorium to the Fillmore in Detroit to basements and bookstores and outdoor parks all up and down the West Coast. I've seen some amazing things, and I've met with some amazing people who all have amazing stories. And somewhere along the line, I got a little bit tired of telling my own over and over. And that's when I started the River Street Anthology. Not knowing what it was going to be when I started it in my basement on River Street in Ipsy. And so now, along with a videographer and a photographer, and my beautiful and administrative-minded wife, Sarah, who's here tonight, and with the help of the State Archives in Lansing, I get to drive around the state, thousands of miles, just recording people I meet, everywhere from barbershops to churches to cabins to old historic theaters, whatever the town affords us. We've been everywhere from powwows in the Keweenaw to Latino musicians, Southeast Michigan, Arab musicians in Dearborn, rappers in Flint and Detroit. And we've been trying to make sure that no one gets swept under the rug and nobody's story is forgotten. We set up shops, like I said, everywhere. And I get to sit a few feet away from people for a few minutes every day and watch them do what they love doing most in the world, and that's a tremendous honor. But I didn't develop this interest overnight. And I'm actually an introvert. Small talk terrifies me. But so I did just all of a sudden get this desire to know people, to get them to talk, to sing, or to play, or tell me their story. I learned it, and I learned a lot of it here at Adrian High School. Like I said, I wasn't a model student, but I have a story. And I have lots of them. Fortunately, I had people that wanted to hear them. People like Lisa Eddy, who nominated me for this tonight. It was in her classroom that I performed my first solo, had my first solo performance. I think the assignment was to pick a piece of literature and interpret it in a way that you saw fit. And I brought in an enormous amplifier and an electric guitar, and probably deafened a lot of the kids in that class. There were others who showed an interest in what I had to say. Carol Bartow, Kay Smith endured more than one semester of my writing. Olga Vargas Cuellar sat through many hours of wholly indecipherable Spanish videos. And Chris Went, though I never had her for a class, she always showed an interest in my stories and songs during and long after my time here at AHS. So, equally patient while listening to my story were men like Larry Richardson and Mike Haynes, who I'm sure my folks would rather I never had to have told my tales to. Someone who deserves extra special mention is Howard Stuckey, who listened to me express myself day after excruciating day through a tuba. If I was in a bad mood, I told my story really badly, and the opposite if I was feeling okay. But I don't know if he realizes how much I've appreciated that chance to express myself musically, on a daily basis especially. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a culture of listening at Adrian High School, and no matter how restless I may have felt here, that culture of listening I carried with me after I left here myself. And I have a lot of faults, a lot of flaws while I was here. Many of those flaws I still have with me, but with the knowledge that those flaws actually add into my story. And I've been able to get others to let their guard down enough to show me their story, and I've worked to preserve those people. Those musicians all over the state, just like my teachers here at AHS, worked to get me out of my shell because they had faith that I had something to say, no matter how long it took me to say it. And in a way, I've always felt like the teachers and the administrators here at AHS are the real preservationists. They strive to ensure that their students have an ear, a listener, a recorder. And the teachers whose classes I was lucky enough to attend, they got me to talk, they got me to write, they got me to play, they got me to sing. I got my confidence here. And it was the confidence to make sure I made my own voice heard. And more importantly, confidence to make sure that in a time when so many people face the very real, tangible threat of having their histories wiped out, to make sure these stories get written down, recorded, preserved, to be read or listened to for generations. And the hundreds of artists from Southeast Michigan musicians to Upper Peninsula Finnish coal miner descendants, we all have a chance to get on the books. And they and I have so many of you to thank for it. So, thank you very much.